love for you. Baby, love for you. Yeah, baby, I mean love for you. Baby, come down to love for you. Let me show you how to love for you. Y'all about my big bro Gerard in the podcast crew.
Hey,
good evening.
That's one of my favorite parts too. Podcast crew.
Yeah, I like that little whisper. Yeah, that's a little cherry on top. I love it. Good evening, everyone. Yes, the Floor is Yours podcast is on a Monday night. I'm telling you, you never know when we just may pop up. So you always got to stay tuned. You got to stay connected. You got to stay involved because it is our mission to create conversations that move the needle forward, that serve and also uplift the community. And so we decided, hey, we're going to jump on and we're going to do it tonight, but not just tonight. You get us on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday this week because we're doing a series this week on how to serve and how to protect. And so this particular week is going to be most impactful for those people who are looking forward to the Create the Life I Want conference that's coming up on the 27th in Texarkana, Texas. And so we're just going to give you a few highlights. We're going to talk to you a little bit about some of the discussions that are going to be made at the conference. And we're just going to keep it raw, real, and uncut. These conversations are going to may sound and feel a little bit different because we want to give you an insight and a perspective about what it's going to be like at the conference on the 27th in Texarkana, Texas. And so if you aren't signed up, if you haven't bought a ticket, we want to encourage you to go to the website. Gerard's going to put the website right below. You want to go to the lifeiwantevent.com, get your tickets, be in the place. And so if you are a man or you know a man, you ever heard the word man, you want to be in the house for this conference because we're going to not only just pour into men, but also the women that want to know how to pour into the men also. But before I get beside myself, I want to give my main man, my brother from another mother, Gerard, an opportunity to say hello to the people. Say what's up to the people, Gerard.
Hey, good evening, people. Good evening, great folks, man. Good evening, Gregory, man. It's always a pleasure to share the screen with you. And as I always say, you could be anywhere, but you're here, and we appreciate you.
Man, that's old school right there. You hitting them, man. You going back in the day with that one. I love it. I love it, though. I love it. Gerard, you and I, we have great conversations, off the camera. And one of our favorite topics to talk about is current events. And I know that you are heavily invested in the community and in politics. And so tonight, I think that it's just intellectually responsible for us to talk about the current political climate and talk about what is going on in society at large, how men are impacted by it, how our community is impacted by it, and then ultimately to try to give people a sounding board and a place to feel what they feel. As we talked about earlier, you and I behind the scenes, that all feelings are valid. And so as Black people, we may be feeling a certain way about the certain administration. We may be feeling a certain way about some of the recent events, but we want to be mindful of our actions. And so all feelings are valid, but not all actions are productive. And so we want to have a conversation that justifies, that gives an opportunity for people to say, hey, look, this is how I feel, and not be judged by it. Because there's a lot of rhetoric that's out there right now that says, if you're not for us, you're against us. And there's a lot of divisiveness that's out there today. And so we want to dive all into it and get into it. But Gerard, I do, before we get started, I do want to ask you, where did your political interests come from? Have you always been interested in politics, or was there a certain life event that made you kind of go, hey, I need to get familiar with what's going on?
Oddly enough, when I think back to my years, I remember in the fourth grade when, we used to do those little mock elections. So our teacher, our class, the whole fourth grade class, I remember them creating this little mock voting, room. And we went in and we voted for who we wanted to, vote for it. But, just you can imagine in fourth grade, it's really just a popularity contest. You don't know who you're voting for. So it's really the most recognizable name. And I remember it being Ronald Reagan. And I went home and told my mom, I was like, hey, mama, we voted today. And she's like, who you vote for? I said, Ronald Reagan. She was like, we don't vote for that. We vote for such. And I remember asking her, like, why? And she was, essentially just said, they do the most for our community. And she said that, not that the other people are bad people, but when it comes to trying to grow the community, she said that. It's kind of stuck with me. But as I got older and started to examine, because I've always been this inquisitive person, so I started examining my own beliefs. Was I only lean in a certain way because that's what I was told? And dug into the principles of the different parties. I had never been sold solely on a political party, but ideology. And one thing that I've always held for myself is that give me a chance to do good, but never at the expense of others, right? And that's one of the things that I always mostly see on the left leaning people. So again, it's not exact. You got people on both sides of the aisle that got great ideas, and I have voted for people on both sides of the aisle as well, depending on their stance on certain issues. But to answer your question, I have ever since I remember that discussion with my mom in the 4th grade, and since then, it's just the passion is just intensified.
That's cool. I like how she tried to be fair in her retort to you. Not to say that other people are bad, but these other people do more for our community, which is a valid point, because that's what voting is all for. You voted for people whose values and principles most align with yours. And so that's good to know. I never knew that. That's really good to know. So let's dive into it. So let's talk about the hot button issue. Everybody's talking about it. If you got social media, it's on your Instagram, it's on your Facebook, it's on your Snapchat, it's on your TikTok, it's on your newsfeed. You can't ignore it. The recent assassination of influencer Charlie Kirk has been a hot button issue that a lot of people are talking about. And from this unfortunate event, there's been a lot of divisiveness. There's been a line drawn in the sand. There's a lot of people who are indifferent, and then there are a lot of people who take a hard stance on the left side and the right side. And so, unfortunately, what I am seeing, instead of us combating what the violence in America, what we are combating each other is our political beliefs. And so it's unfortunate to me that a man's life was lost, and all we could talk about is a political agenda and not making our streets safer. Now, before we go, I have to say this, and I'm going to be the one to take the first shot, but I want to be clear and I want to be honest. I was not a supporter of Charlie Kirk. Sorry. I do not think that his values align with mine. I differed with him on a lot of opinions. And to tell you the truth, I don't really think he was a nice person. But I don't think that we don't condone violence, and I don't think he deserved to lose his life because he has differences than I do. And like, I wouldn't want someone whose values align with mine to have the same thing happen to them. But I will say that here's the conversation topic that I want to talk about is, do we need to feel guilty, Gerard, for not liking people who someone else supported and loved? Because I don't particularly think that Charlie Kirk was a positive voice. I thought he was negative a lot of ways. I thought he was very divisive. I think he was very insulting and degrading, especially to people of color. But I don't have to feel guilty about that. I think that all feelings are valid, but my actions are not always productive. So what's your feeling? Should we feel guilty for not liking this man?
Yeah, a couple things on that, man. I like the way you presented it, the setup for that right there, right? You broke that down well. But before I answer that specific question, I want to go back to where you talked about deserve. He didn't necessarily deserve.
Right.
I think that's a mostly understood with most folks, right? We don't go around saying that people deserve, but now when you look at deserve in the sense of, if my behaviors promote certain actions, this cause and effect kind of thing, I think that the Bible teaches us in the Galatians, I think it's 5:7, that we reap what we sow, right? So again, in this vast world, this, this beautiful creation that God put together. He created some cause and effects, right? And it is one of the simple things. If I go touch a hot pot, it's going to burn my hand. Do I deserve to get my hand burnt? You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm getting at? Yeah. So my point is, I don't look at it necessarily like what you deserve versus the bed that you made, the ditch that you dug. And my thing is, if you go out with this divisive rhetoric, and you rile up, certain people against you. And I'm not saying anything about you deserving to be a dime, but I'm talking about the environment that you create. I think the environment that he created is what he's absolutely responsible for. Now, to your point, the people that he upset, should they go out and create these bad actions that take people's lives? Not at all, But at the same time, the Bible says, woe to those that cause others to stumble. There's some self-responsibility there. If we want to be truthful about the faith and what the Bible teaches as a whole, we can't cherry pick it and make it fit our political ideology. There's a whole plethora of understandings and do's and don'ts out there. And I think we got to take it in its totality and learn to be the best people possible. Now, go ahead.
No, that's a tricky point, and I agree with what you're saying, that he possibly could have contributed to his own demise by the rhetoric that he spewed out. That it was perpetuating, in my opinion, it was perpetuating hate, and so it stands to reason that sometimes bad things that happen if you're perpetuating hate. But there's a lot of people saying, well, no, he was speaking the truth. Well, we have two different interpretations of the Bible when it comes to what Charlie Kirk's rhetoric was versus what I think to be the actual truth. And so there then becomes this question of, where's the fine line between freedom of speech and now you becoming a contributor to your own demise? Because we look at a lot of people who have said a lot of ugly things in every community, right? But I wouldn't want them to be taken out because they have said things that were not.
Yeah, man, you make some good points, and the reason why we're referencing scripture a lot in this, because supposedly he held to Christian principles or Bible principles. And there's the thing too in the Bible. I know this country and the patriots and the founding fathers valued freedom of speech. But here's the thing about freedom of speech: it don't make you absent of the consequences, right? And the Bible teaches us that you will be judged by every word. So in action, so you just can't say, being a great patriot is not going to make me put me in alignment with God, right? So we've got to think about those things when we out here hurting people with words. And I hate the way that they framed it, like he was just merely spreading his ideas and opinions. This dude was a movement. He's a multi-million-dollar industry. His revenue is around like $80 million a year. He has a whole organization with this huge facility out in Arizona where he's lobbying for principles that he holds true to his heart. So it's not just like, I'm out here just stating my opinion. He is literally shaping laws and policies. So to act like he's just merely sharing his opinion is not being, you're not being truthful to the situation, right?
Because he had the ear of a lot of people who are in politics and who are able to make change.
And so the voters. I mean, he's motivating countless voters around him too. So again, these are not just simple opinions. He's some vile stuff is coming out this guy's mouth. So again, to act like that that's not going on, I don't think we're bringing honesty to any discussion that we want to have.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think that it is fair for people to feel angry about some of the things that he said. And just because he is now, unfortunately, no longer with us, doesn't erase the negativity and the hate that he spewed. I mean, you and I, we've seen the clips, right? I mean, there's a lot of things that he said that were highly inflammatory against people of color, against women. I mean, he even suggested that Black people did better in segregation in the 40s versus today. Because somehow, since we were under the control of the oppressor, then we did better because we had leadership to to navigate us and what to do and what couldn't do because our
Absolutely.
opportunities were limited. I mean, come on. I mean, I cannot get with that. I cannot say that he was a good human being. I cannot support anything that he did because he was my oppressor. One of my favorite quotes is it says, "If you're comfortable with my oppression, then you are my oppressor." Charlie Kirk was very comfortable with my oppression, so that makes him my oppressor. Which leads me to a great question: is that can we have compassion? Should we have compassion for our oppressors?
Yeah.
You know,
You know what? I like that question, and it brings up an important point that we shouldn't conflate compassion with acceptance, right?
mm,
That
mm,
whole thing about accountability, it don't mean that you don't pay for your compassion, don't mean that you're not held accountable for your behaviors, because
right.
it's not only you that your behaviors are affecting. So this guy just ran rampant. It was an environment that was conducive to the type of rhetoric that he spit. There was
Hmm.
little to no accountability, and it was actually praised in many aspects of what he did, right? And
Hmm.
I just remember when I remember some people that I'm connected with on Facebook that have praised me, for some of the posts that I made, and they called me
Hmm.
brother and friend, and they appreciate what I do in the community. But then I'll see you turn around and praise this man who really pushed for my demise, and I say
Hmm.
that in truth. One of the quotes where he said that the Civil Rights Act was a mistake. Think about
Yeah.
that. Think
Yeah.
about that. If
Right.
it was a mistake, and I mean, just think about the context of that. What does that mean? Everything that the Civil Rights Act brought for Black people, and
Hmm.
now you tell me that it's a mistake. But at the same time, so you're cheering for a guy that pushed that right there, and not just his opinion. The opinion is bad enough, but he
Hmm.
pushed to enact or take away back some of those rights that we have gained as citizens in this
Yeah.
country. But at the
Yeah.
same time, you want to tell me that you're praising. Now you got conflict and interest, and now you
Right.
got let's call it for what it is. And at this point, Gregory, my point is this: I'm drawing the line in the sand. And I told you this before the show when we were talking. I think we're
Okay.
past pleading and asking folks, to recognize Black people and their accomplishments, to be humane and recognize our humanity, to welcome us and give us seats at the table. I think we're past the necessary need for that. We got a
Okay.
history of what's went on in this country. We got leaders who understand well what their rhetoric and the laws that they're passing and the policies that they're pushing for. Like they know that. So at some point, like dabbling in the middle and pleading for people who know better to recognize us, like I'm beyond that, man. I'm beyond
Yeah.
that. Now it's a little more direct language, if you will. But yeah, I
I'm.
just feel
I,
that we need to move past that part.
I'm with you on that. I'm of a similar mindset that I don't need your validation to shine, right? And so, and also, I'm at a point in life now. I don't know if it's age, if it's maturity, or if it's anger. I'm not really sure. I'm just trying to say that it exists. Is that I don't mind making you uncomfortable. My truth, if my truth makes you uncomfortable, that's not going to be my problem anymore. That is something that you're going to have to process within yourself. If you are a a reasonably minded person, and you consider yourself to be a Christian, then you ought to be able to accept someone else's truth without being offended. And
Yeah,
so here is the truth that we live in. America still has an issue with racism. America still has an issue with sharing power with people of color. Charlie Kirk, another accusation that he made was that there is an agenda to de-white America, that us allowing immigrants into the country and continuing with affirmative action is a way to make America less right. You can look it up. He said it himself.
yeah,
I'm not misquoting him.
yeah,
And so I don't now. If you feel uncomfortable with saying that to me, then I feel comfortable with saying my truth as well. Now, this is not to engage in an attack, it's not to cause hostility, but it is to speak the truth.
yeah,
And so, as a black people in America who live in a system that is largely racist, that is oppressive to us, we should feel the comfort. We should not have to apologize for not liking the way that things are currently and striving to do better. All feelings are valid, but not all actions are productive. And so I think that it is mindful of us, it is behooves us to make decisions now to get more politically involved, to retort this nonsense with more reasonable minded behavior.
Yeah.
And also to accept that this is an ongoing struggle. It's not going to happen overnight. If you choose to pick up this mantle, just know that this is a marathon and not a sprint. You will get weary, you will get tired, but that's no excuse to give up. We have to stay in the race because we're not fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for our children that are going to come behind us. And if we can just push that door just 1 inch wider, then our children won't have to do that part. We've done that part, which is very important.
Yeah, and I like that you said we can't give up because when you look at what giving up means, right? We're literally losing our right to exist, our right to provide a quality of life, provide quality of life to our dependents and ourselves, right? So whether it's working in a job that pays us at a honorable wage, healthcare, access to quality healthcare and education, to deserve to not get beat by the police. And I'm saying that because they push for immunity from police for any abuse against citizens, right? So all these things that we deserve that they're actively pushing against, like that's what giving up will bring about. Like they counting on us not showing up at the polls. They grab power and they hanging on for dear life right now.
Yeah.
And they built the judicial system, the Supreme Court to pass laws. They give him immunity. All these things right here. So my point to you, Gregory, when you say that we can't give up, I think that can't be understated, and we need to understand what giving up looks like. So, yeah.
It costs us more to give up than to go along.
Yeah.
And
they're not going to stop you.
No, it's never going to stop. It's just something within, I think, the human condition to want to dominate, right? And unfortunately, but racism is to dominate when you feel someone is lesser than. Now, winning the game because you're just a better player is one thing, but to physically try to oppress another, your opponent, just because you know they're better than you, in a lot of ways, that's racism, and that's what we're not for. Make that playing field even. I remember Jesse Jackson. He said this quote, and I thought it was particularly powerful. He said, there is a stereotype that all Black people are good at sports. When you think about football and basketball, you think Black people dominate those industries. And so this reporter was asking him, he asked the reporter, do you think that's true? It was a white reporter. And the white reporter was kind of nervous. He didn't know what the right answer to say. You could tell he was kind of jittery about answering. But he says, I understand that has been said about Black people. So Jesse Jackson said this. He said, that is a myth. He said, the reason why Black people succeed in sports is because there's a playbook. The rules are clearly defined. You know the rules of the game. And if America took that same position, we would really see who the winners are. But the issue we have in America is that the goalpost is always moving. We never have a playbook. And when we have a playbook, the playbook is oftentimes changed to fit the agenda of white America. And that puts us behind the 8 ball because we can never succeed because we don't know what the rules are.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And when you think about the rules, you think about who's setting the rules and who's moving the goalposts. One thing that I've had discussions with a white brethren about is this idea of white guilt and white privilege. And we talked about this before the show about how do you ask somebody to give up a position of privilege? And I was specific with my wording. I said positions of privilege, not their well-being, but their positions of privilege over someone else. And think about that just as a self observing type question. Gregory, would you be willing to give up your privilege for the betterment of someone else?
That'd be hard, but I think I would if I was riding in first class, but I saw a pregnant woman who'd be way more comfortable in first class and I go to coach. I'm going to coach, but that just because that's my value system. Yes. But I understand not everybody has that same value system.
So that's an easy one. But let's go to some realistic situations, right?
Okay. money, power. Yeah.
Yeah, especially when things come to money, right? If you knew that someone else was qualified for a job, for a higher paying job, but they wanted to give it to you just because of your skin color, are you going to forego that position to let the more qualified person get it? You're not going to lose your job. My point.
Probably not. Probably
So,
not.
so I love your transparency, right? So now, the reason why I asked that, because remember, we talked about the need to get transparent and understand our feelings, right? And our emotions and what we're experiencing right there. Now, I imagine though, if Jesus was here asking you that, I bet your answer would be a little different.
It would be.
Yeah. So now we say this all the time about subscribing to value systems that's greater than self. You know, when we're asked to be Christians, here are the people that are professing to follow scripture, and it tells you to to die to self daily, right? And again, he's not telling you to give up your own well-being for the sake of others. But here it is, when you got a chance to share in the gospel, why not? For the betterment of the kingdom. That's my issue.
Yeah, yeah. We're selfish by nature, and
we're selfish.
Selfish by nature. Yeah. And this country was founded by largely, this country was founded on treason, so going from England coming to America. And then also the standard bearers for this country were white, Christian, heterosexual males.
So if that happened centuries ago, why does that matter now?
Yeah, because it is a system that has worked well for that group. White, Christian, heterosexual males. And it is no coincidence that they still today hold the majority of power and the wealth, because they create a system that works best for them. And so anything outside of white, Christian, heterosexual males is considered to be subordinate or less than, and that you have to fight to fit that standard that they created. And so the system has worked well for them, and they don't want to, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And so the flesh wants that. And I can see why they are, still trying to advocate for, we don't have to change the way that America is, because it's working for you. So you don't care about the people of color or the women that have the same opportunities as you, because the money's still going in your pocket.
Yeah. That privilege, if you can't get the money, that privilege is probably the next best thing, right? Yeah, because I don't know if you remember this older white lady, I can't remember her name, but she goes around and she's advocating for equality, specifically for the Black community. It's an older white lady, I can't remember her name, but she asked the question, and she's asking everybody in the room, the white, she was like, raise your hand if you'll be willing to trade places and be Black. It's like, is you out your mind? And here's the thing about that, right? It's one thing to say like, hey, no, because I love who I am. But I think the gist of that question is, do you recognize that there are some inherent privileges that you have because of the color of your skin? And I think that was being truthful to the audience.
That was. I got the image of the woman in my mind. I can't think of her name right now. But that reminds me of a joke that Chris Rock had said, that he said, no white man would want to change places with me. And I'm rich. He said a poor white man wouldn't want to change places to be a rich Black man. That's how hard it is to be Black in America.
And I think it's some truthful to that, but I think it's some poor white people that'll gladly trade places with Chris Rock. But I get the gist of what he's saying. Like, there are some things that come with, when we talk about the privilege on one side, just the bad things that happen to us on the other side. We can go on and on about that right there. But hey, we got a couple of comments in here. I want to make sure we get to them, and the people in the audience, make sure y'all keep the comments coming. But our great sister Tamika, she said good evening, so appreciate her for tuning in.
What's up, sis?
Yeah, and look like all the questions and comments are from her. She said it's so true. The goalpost is always moving. So that was when you were talking about earlier, that there's a playbook and we're mastering it and trying to play according to the rules. They do move sometimes, right?
Yeah, and it makes it hard from generation to generation, because the way that our parents combated racism is different than how we do it, and different than our children do it. Which, it reminds me, my children are not offended by the N-word. And so they actually laugh at it, chuckle at it a little bit, thinking that that's nonsense, that's antiquated. But you couldn't say that to the generation before them, and that, because there would be some furniture moving. But from generation to generations, the way that we approach and deal with racism, it looks different. So the goalpost is always changing.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't want to get too far away from the topic of discussion, and it was talking about how to maintain your integrity.
Yeah,
And you talked about our feelings are valid, but our actions are not productive.
productive.
Yeah.
Right.
So how would you advise me? Because I'm being transparent right here.
Hmm.
It bothers the hell out of me, Gregory. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
honest, and
Yeah.
it ain't just what Charlie has said. It's the defense of him and the people that kind of dabble in the middle and try to play it safe and don't want to upset the other, because that's how Charlie Kirk rose to prominence, is because the people who have the ability to push back and do something the most, they play safe for whatever reason. There's a plethora of reasons, but they play safe. And it bothers me for these people to call me brother, to have fought in war with some of these people, right? Shared the battlefield with some of them, have shared meals with some of these people. And I'm not just talking about white people, I'm talking about black people too. And it angers me. But to your point, I still need to maintain my integrity. So here
Right.
I am, man. I'm sitting in front of you. I paid my money up front for my hour discussion.
Yeah.
Man, help me out, brother.
Yeah. 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 First things first, I think we need to understand that your calling will make you uncomfortable.
Mm,
And so you've been called for such a time as this. You've been called to fight the battles of this generation. And so if you are a person who is for unity, who is for justice, who is for equality, you're going to be challenged by today's society. Your calling makes you uncomfortable. And so we first have to accept the fact that you were here for a reason, and your reason is to fight the good fight. And so you got to take up that banner. First, you got to say, okay, God, it's not going to be perfect. I don't expect to be perfect. You never promised me that it was going to be perfect, but I do need you to give me the wisdom to go forward. So I accept. Number one, I have to accept the current conditions. I have to accept that this is where I am at, and now it's my responsibility to leave this world a little bit better than I found it. So number one, accepting, hey, these are the cards I've been dealt. Let me play it the best way so I can be most effective. Right?
so you're telling me that I'm going to suffer?
You're going to suffer. Yeah, your calling will make you uncomfortable, and so
Yeah.
you have to first understand that is that Jesus said multiple times. You like you said earlier, you got to die to yourself, right? And that means you got to take up a cross, you got to take up a banner, and speak truth to power, to be a light into this world. And this is just your time to be a light. So that's number one, and that's really a hard thing to do, especially when you are the oppressed. You're the one who feels like I take 2 steps forward, they push me 3 steps back.
Yeah.
Where is my win? Our win is not here on earth. Our win is in heaven. And so if we're looking for some type of reward here on earth, then you're going to be disappointed because it's never going to happen. Life is never going to be perfect.
Yeah.
Number two, you have to keep a sound mind. God did not give us a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind. And so as we come up against these issues, it behooves us, it's important for us to ask ourselves, okay, how would I want to act when I am sober minded? Keep a level head, keep your emotions in check, and try not to act emotionally, but you want to react intellectually. And so we have to be able to sit down, get quiet, and ask ourselves, what is it that I'm really feeling, and what is the message that really needs to be said? Because it is easy. It is easy to give your flesh the authority to go on and curse and yell and scream and go toe to toe with every ridiculous agenda that you hear, but that doesn't move the needle forward.
Yeah.
What moves the needle forward is logic and reason. So you
Yeah.
have to keep a sound mind, right?
I love how that verse is structured. He says he didn't give us a spirit of fear. On the opposite side of that is but love and power and sound mind. And I think the love is a given, but the power that it brings, and then that sound mind part, I think to your point, you talk a lot about emotional maturity and emotional regulation. Does that sound mind kind of go hand in hand with that right there?
It does. It does. In every moment in life that we're living in, we have to decide who's going to win. right? We got two different battles going on, and that's our flesh and that's our spirit. And so we should have a default system that says, I'm always going to let my spirit lead, the Holy Spirit, the higher self, the intellectual side of me, and not my flesh. And so the sound mind is to lower the volume of your flesh, not to turn it off, because you do have to acknowledge what's going on in your body so that you can remain healthy. But at the same time, it's not going to lead the charge. My spirit will always lead me and not my flesh. And that's where the true power comes in. Because if you do that, then you're able to make decisions with clarity and that are more productive.
Yeah, I think it's important to point out that even the saints before us, Paul, he talked about the things that I want to do,
Mm-hmm.
not do. Here's this man spirit led, that's being open and transparent and telling us about our struggles. And I think that's a great example of what we can deal with today.
Yeah, yeah. Because the flesh is never satisfied. You will never satisfy the flesh. It's always going to want to sleep when you know you need to get up and go to the gym. It's always going to want a slice of cake when you know you're on a diet. It's always going to be wanting. It will never, ever be satisfied.
In the
I'm
gym.
just saying, we all in it. We're all struggling against this flesh. The flesh is our biggest opponent. It's not Satan. Our biggest opponent is our flesh. And so in light of the current events, in order to diffuse the hate, we have to not listen to our flesh. We can't let it lead. We have to let a sound mind lead.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah. And number 3, which I think is important as the other two, is you got to find a safe place to really be able to keep it real. Find your safe place where you have people who will not judge you for being your authentic self. So like you and I, we have very transparent conversations off camera. And I don't feel like if I were to say some stuff that is un-Christian like from time to time, I'm not going to be judged by you. You can say, well, that's a moment that he's having. He needs to get that off his chest, And so you need to find your safe place that will allow you to express exactly it is what you're feeling, because you can't keep those things inside, because what they will do is that they will surprise you when they show up. They're going to surprise you at the gas station. They're going to surprise you when you're in traffic and someone cuts you off. If you don't get those feelings out, they're going to force themselves out.
Yeah.
And you don't want that to happen. So you also have to find your safe place.
So walk us through on what that could look like in an instance in something like this. I don't know if you want to use the example that you and I had before, but what does it look like to find a safe space so that you can, share your true feelings?
Yeah. You need to find a tribe of people who have shared values as you, right? And so you don't have to explain yourself. And so if you are a person who believes in health and fitness, who believes in meditation, who believes in supporting a good fight, then you want to find people who are like-minded so that you don't have to go in and explain why you feel the way that you feel, but can be understood why you feel the way that you feel. It's very important to have people that are like-minded in your world, and not just yes men, but people who understand how you got to where you are based on your life experiences, based on your perspective. And so when you do get those things off of your chest, they can confirm your feelings to be valid. What we're looking for is acceptance, because when we feel like we're always an adversary to somebody, it never allows us to feel peace.
Yeah.
But when you are affirmed and accepted by people, you can go, oh, I'm not the crazy one here. I am rational in what I feel. I don't agree with the rhetoric that's being spoken right now. I'm not crazy because everybody's telling me that I should be mourning for an oppressor. I don't feel like I should be mourning over someone who was trying to push me down.
Yeah. The crazy thing is the hypocrisy or the double standard in that right now. When, for whatever reason, we know the reason. I mean, there's a lot of assumptions there. We know the reason that they uphold and uplift this guy who has openly spilled rhetoric. So what I share with you, just again being transparent, is one side they're gonna feel how they have always felt, and they have dug a line in the sand and stake their claim that they are gonna think how they're gonna think. They're gonna believe what they believe, regardless of if it's right or wrong. They're gonna believe what they're gonna believe. My issue and challenge has been those that play safe in the middle. Martin Luther King said it's not the behavior of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. And I'm just taking a step forward to say, some of them people are not truly friends, but we got some of the oppressed people, if you will, that are co-signing and giving an excuse and give reason. I'm sure you've all heard that one excuse, like, or that one white guy, and it's happened to me. You know, he come with a point that's straight opposite of what I feel is right or what I know to be right. But he'll tell me, but that's not me. You know where I got that from? My friend Jason. And you know what? Jason is black. You know, and I'm just like, wow, you see it coming and you know it's going to come, right? But it's one of those things like, come on, man. Like, really? Jason? I ain't talking about the guy who quoted Jason. I'm talking about Jason who's excusing, you know, that behavior and even, you know, just giving light to it.
Yeah. Some people are still slaves. They got chains on their brains and don't even know it.
I wasn't going to say it like that, but come on, Gregory with the truth, man.
Yeah. That's a slave mentality that where you always need the direction of a leader and you're not able to make your own mind up. And not just in race relations, but until you're able to make a decision for yourself, you're the slave to someone or something.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome. Yeah, so there was those the three, and you want to recap them? Oh, it's another one?
No, it's not. It's not. But I would probably give an asterisk to find a way to state your opinion. There was another one I wanted to add is to find a way to state your opinion, because sometimes issues like this are so big, you want to have a platform to be able to say, here are my thoughts and accept the consequences. Because we've said this earlier, even about Charlie Kirk, and that is that you can say whatever you want. So you got the freedom of speech, but you got to be willing to accept the consequences for those words that you said. So if you can find a platform to express how you feel, to get it out there, to say, here is my contribution to actually spreading love or light, that also is helpful. It gives you a sense of satisfaction that, hey, I did my part to make the situation better.
Yeah. Find a way to state your opinion. And if I was to add one on there, at least somewhat know what you're talking about.
A little bit, right? Just some research.
Come in with some credit behind yourself. Like, you know what? I'm not just out here stating my opinion because I'm angry about something, right? I need to know somewhat know what I'm talking about. And even if you don't know everything, at least have the patience. What's that old saying, Gregory? He gave me 2 ears and 1 mouth.
Right,
so
right.
So more than I talk.
Right, and listen twice as much as I speak. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So let's do this. We got a lot of comments coming in. Y'all keep the comments coming in. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go to a commercial break, and after the commercial, we're gonna jump on comments, and then we're gonna wrap up the discussion if that's okay with you.
Sounds great.
Every man battles something, but not every man has a space to heal. Texarkana, September 27, 2025, at Radiant Church. It's time to create the life you want. Join Jamar Bruce and Gerard Ware for a powerful, purpose-driven experience focused on breaking the stigma behind men's mental health. This life-changing event features a dynamic panel of real conversations, live performances and entertainment, epic giveaways, and special guest appearances. Featuring Sunday Best Season 6 runner-up, Kafia Rollerson, keynote speaker, Gregory McKinney, hosted by nationally renowned comedian Derek Keener. This is more than an event, it's a movement, a place for healing, strength, and community. Don't miss your chance to be a part of something great. Together, let's create the life we want. Secure your spot today at www.lifeiwantevent.com.
I ain't ashamed. Jesus took my guilt and he broke every chain. Mental health is wealth and I'm choosing to heal.
That's what it's all about, right? Creating the life that we want. And we are bringing this 3-part series this week to give you a kind of a preview behind the scenes of what you can expect at the Create the Life I Want event happening September 27th there at Radiant Church in Texarkana, Texas, the hometown of Gerard. So you know it's going to be great. If Texarkana can produce someone like Gerard, then you know it can produce a great event. I get more and more excited every time I see that trailer. Yeah, it is. Gas you up. And so I get more and more excited about this because there are conversations that need to be had that just aren't being spoken. And sometimes we feel intimidated by it, or sometimes we don't want to stir the pot by being as transparent as you and I have been this evening.
Yeah.
But how do we heal? We first got to deal with the real. That's how you heal. And so, if it's causing you anxiety, frustration, pain, you got to talk about it and be able to do it in a safe place. And so that's what's going to happen at the Create the Life I Want event. It's going to be a safe place where the overarching goal is for healing, not for judgment. And so we want to invite everybody out to come. It's going to be a great time, and I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, and there's the website again, www.lifeIwantEvent.com. Put together by a good friend and little brother Jamar Bruce, JT Bruce from Texas County as well, and just a couple other people that I just want to mention. Matwana Bruce, she's gonna be hosting one of the panel discussions. If you've watched the show, you've seen her on here, but even our own great IC, Amisha Thomas. You know, she's a prayer warrior. So she's going to open and close us in prayer. And, you know, that's one of my favorite things about her. You know, the show one time called The Power of a Praying Wife. And, man, the input, the wisdom, the steadfastness about her in that show is just something amazing. So I know when it comes to this event, she's going to be a hard hitter. So come on out. And, of course, like the video said, keynote speaker, Mr. Gregory. So I'm definitely looking forward to what you bring to the
we are excited. We're excited. I'm excited to see what God does.
Absolutely. Come expecting something. And we got Denisha Union, man. Let me just give her shout out. She's in the comments right now, inviting people to the show right now, keeping the numbers up. But she reached out to me personally asking, was this event for men only? And I told her, like, no, it's for everybody, especially women. If you want to be honest, like we know how it is with men dealing with their health. Yeah, sometimes it takes their significant other, the woman, to push them to go and get checked out and do better. So same thing right here. Women, you've been a staple. Let's be honest. They've been a staple in our community. You go to the church and you see the women there, right?
Yep.
School teachers, you know, just a lot, the people who shows up to vote the most in our community is our women. So in this event, likewise, we need you pushing the men that you know to be a part of this event. And what the women are going to get out of this is they're going to get a front row seat, right, behind the scenes insight in what we're challenged with, and learn how to push us, how to hold us accountable, how to be gracious while you're doing it, and the importance of forgiveness and the importance of trust and respect in men so that you can help us be better men. So we're mobilizing the community, and we especially need the women to be a part of this right now.
Absolutely. And I would like to change that stigma because outside of the military, service tends to be looked at as a female activity. When you think about, serving the poor, the hungry, the needy, we tend to look at women to lead those causes. So outside of the military, women are really big on service more so than men are. We want to change that stigma.
Yeah. And Matwana, she's in the comments too. So hey, be a part of the discussion. So how about we go to the to the comments, Gregory, and we'll wrap this up afterwards. So here's from Tamika. I'll let you read that if you want.
The feelings would definitely appear at the most inconvenient and wrong times. Yes. So when we don't address the anxiety or frustrations we have in life, it pops up in business meetings. It pops up in phone calls. It pops up when we snap at our children. And that's passive aggressiveness. And so it's important for us to, as we said earlier, identify what you're feeling, accept it. Like, I am feeling frustrated. I'm feeling angry at what I'm hearing, and deal with it so that it doesn't embarrass you later.
Yeah, that's good. I like this one. Dr. Jennings, she's going to be on the show a couple times this week too. But she said God gives us the grace to have peace in the midst of the storm during troubled times. And that's absolutely right. Right. You know, the feelings are going to be there. But this peace, right, or the grace for the peace, that peace don't mean that I'm absent of anger or that I'm not sad. It doesn't mean any of that. But you talked earlier about the sound mind. And I think that's what grace grants us, that kind of peace. And it says that it's the peace that surpasses all understanding. Right.
Yeah, it is. You know what? In this current political climate, this is how I equate it, is that we're all in the same storm, but we're not all in the same boat. because I have a captain on my boat that's going to guide me through the storm. So yes, there's a storm, but we're on different boats.
Yeah, yeah. We had another one up here from Ms. Ronnie Barkis. She said, Gerard, I understand your frustrations. Keep close to people who don't make you justify your worth. That balance help you handle the harder encounters without getting drained. You're right, right? You could spend so much time in the war, right? In the fight that is draining. So you talked about making sure you got a support system around you of people that you can lean on for help, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's needed. We were not meant to do life by ourselves. We were meant to live in community, because there are some people that we need people in our lives to see the blind spots in our activities and our actions and our words and our deeds. You need someone, and also you need someone that's able to call you out from time to time. You need someone that's able to say, "Shut up and listen," and you shut up and you listen. There should be someone who has that privilege in your life to say, "I need you to be quiet because you're slipping right now," and you listen.
Yeah, that be quiet does sound a little better than shut up, but hey, sometimes it's needed, man. Right?
Yeah, sometimes it's needed. Hmm.
Hey, this ain't for the faint, that's for sure. Ronnie also says excuses for them, consequences for us. That's the double standard. Wow.
Wow, that's
Now put that
powerful.
on the shirt, man.
Yeah, that's a bumper sticker right there for real. I totally agree with that. They have the privilege to go back to their mansions. They go back to the privilege of being accepted more mainstream when it comes to employment, getting better education and medical care. But when we cause a ruckus, then we are the troublemakers, and so we do face consequences for fighting just for equity.
Yeah,
We're not trying to get more than our fair share, but we want our fair share.
yeah.
And that's problematic for a lot of us.
Very, very problematic. And I made a post a couple weeks back was this blessing down in Texarkana. Everybody know when I say blessing what I'm really thinking, but just so I don't have to repent for my words, maybe my thoughts, but at least for my words. But this blessing was advocating for stop and frisk in our community. And it was crazy because there was some people pushing back on them. And the words of encouragement, if you will, that he gave them was to say, like, hey, you'll be okay because you don't fit the description. And I'm like, you cannot be that tone deaf to know that just because you don't dress a certain way, it don't keep you from fitting the description. There are people that have been in suits and ties, people that have been laying in their bed asleep, 12-year-old kids playing on the playground.
Smart rice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And so for him to advocate for a stop and frisk in our community and to think that somehow he's shielded, it just shows how tone deaf that we can be. And we talked earlier about people that are literally
yeah,
leading us to the slaughter, if you
yeah.
will. And that's
Dr.
what,
King only wore suits.
yeah. Come on, man. What you
I mean,
talking
come on.
about? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's definitely the double standard. Tamika said, at least know something about what you're talking about. You're right, right? You just can't come there guns blazing and totally off tilt about what the discussion is. Yeah, so
Hmm. Give us a
you don't
reason to
gotta know
listen to
everything.
you.
Right? You don't have to know everything, right?
No, no, you don't. You don't. But you do have to at least be able to articulate what it is, why you feel the way that you feel.
Yeah,
You know.
for sure. I'm gonna let you take this one from Dr. Jennings.
I had to shut my mouth and manage my emotions and ask God if I was ready to speak. And the answer was no. So, knowing when to go to God with raw emotions and having some positive and freeing outlet has been so vital this past week for me personally. Being, and then it cuts off.
It says being in careers, you just can't risk opening your mouth due to consequences. And she's right. We've been seeing a lot of people
Yeah.
paying, right? But here it is. You got one people on one side advocating for freedom of speech. But here it is when people are expressing often things that are objectively right and true, they're paying the consequences. So that's to the point that Rondalyn said earlier about the double standard. But yeah, you're right. You got to be careful about in this environment of stating even what could be fact because it could cost you.
Yeah, so the Bible says our people perish for lack of vision, right? And we could substitute the word and still be biblically correct, substitute vision for strategy. And so we don't want to move by emotion, but we do want to be strategic in our actions. And so sometimes it does require us to pause, to collect our emotions, to
Yeah.
go to God in prayer, to consult our tribe, so that we move in a way that it's most beneficial not to us, but for everyone around us, especially if you're a parent, you have kids. You just can't go off the handle. You do have to get alone, get quiet, and ask God, what's the vision? What's the strategy? What are my next steps?
Yeah, yeah, especially us, because we got a politicized justice system too that's looking for to
Yeah.
make examples out of us any chance they get. So
They're
can't be.
looking for us to go off the rails. They
Yeah,
expect us to go off the rails, and so because that only feeds to their stereotype and their rhetoric
yeah,
that we are somehow lesser than.
yeah. He said, don't be ignorant of the devil's devices, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, Denisha, she says, Gerard Ware, y'all need to make women feel welcome to this event. Commercial look like it's just for men. I'm trying to get women to come. We received that. We received that. So we'll get with our brother JT and make sure that we got some video visuals, if you will, that makes everybody feel welcome, especially our female counterparts, because we need you.
We need you. We need you. You are important to us. We need you.
Yeah. And she says she will be there. We appreciate you.
Look forward to meeting you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. And there is Matwana. She's out
Hey,
there.
Matwana.
Hey, fellas.
Miss Bruce.
Tamika said that's a word. We're all in the same storm, but different boats.
Yeah, that's true. And my boat has a captain that I know can steer me through the storm safely.
Yeah. Come on, Captain. Come on, Captain. Well, this has been fun. And remember, everything that we're doing is leading up to the event, Create the Life I Want. It's going to be in Texarkana, September the 27th
27.
at Radiant Church in Texarkana from 5 to 8 p.m. And we got a couple things going on. Me and Jamar, we're going to be on the radio station again this coming Saturday. Soul Man Billy Bland, he just reached out to us a little bit ago and invited us to come on again. So Texarkana, turn your radios on this Saturday at 10 o'clock. And Jamar and I will be on there talking about this event and just sharing some, personal experiences, insight about what the event is going to be about, which is men's mental health and how the community can help us men be better. So
y'all are celebrities. I'm not to put y'all on my resume. I'm glad I know y'all. I'm opening doors.
But that ain't it, man. Hey, 8:45, 9 o'clock on Sunday. We're going to be on the radio station as well on 104.7 down there. And we're going to be talking more about the event. And so it's going to be a lot more in depth, in detail, that Sunday show. So look for information on social media to come out about that right there as well. So we're trying to get the word out. Man, we cannot say thank you enough to the community for helping us, for believing in us, for seeing this vision as well and helping us try to make this thing successful and reach as many people as possible. So thank you all for that piece right there.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Oh, here Matwana said, she said, that's why we have to remain the coolest ones in the room. You're right. Yeah, I mean, the margin of error is slim, right?
And that's a sad commentary on our society where people of color already understand going into a scenario that our reactions are going to be judged differently.
Yeah, indeed. Hey, Denise says she's going to be leaving brunch and coming straight there. So come on. Hey, save a little room too, because we're going to have some food there as well. Yeah, and Matwana said, come join me, ladies. Yeah, so we're going to do what we can to help, make the women feel comfortable because, again, we need you. We're better when you're there pushing us and supporting us and encouraging us to be better as well. So, Gregory, this is a great discussion, man. Why don't you wrap up the discussion and give us some parting thoughts, if you will?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're talking about maintaining your integrity in times of indifference. Jesus said it best. He promised. He didn't promise that it was going to be easy, but he just promised us that he will be with us in the fight. And so as we go forward through these times, it's all feelings are valid, but not all actions are productive. And so whatever you're feeling, if you're feeling angry, you're feeling frustrated, you have a right to feel that way because the truth is, life is not easy. This country we live in is not perfect, but we do serve a perfect God. And so we have to make our personal goalpost to please him and not man. He has put us here for such a time as this to be lights and to be leaders and to be encouragers, not to accept the status quo, but to change the status quo. That is your mission. Don't get offended when sinners do what they do. Sinners sin. And that's just the way it is. And so to everyone that's listening today, Maintaining your integrity during times of indifference requires you to remain connected to God so that His agenda is the one that is pushed forward more so than man's.
Man, it's good, man. And I always say, if we was at portrait night, we'll be snapping our fingers, man. That's how you go.
Man, it's been great, man. I enjoy our conversations. I enjoy our talks, and so everyone listening, everyone watching, it ain't over. It ain't over. We got some more shows we're giving you this week. Again, we are just highlighting to you what to expect at the Create the Life I Want conference that's coming up on the 27th. We want to give you some examples of what the real talk is, real talk about real issues. So we encourage you to like, share, and subscribe to the Floor is Yours podcast, to Mogul TV, so that we're able to keep this discussion going, because Gerard and I, we're here to make conversations that move the needle forward. That's what it's all about. We're here for you. Reach out to us, stay in touch, because you never know when we just might pop up on you. It's been a blessing. Thank you for watching. We love you. And as always,
before you do that,
yeah,
just one point of thought that I want to highlight that you said about the need to get a tribe around you. Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes it feel like that we're under attack, and it's not because it's not. It's because we are. And sometimes we got to circle the wagon. And when we understand our purpose and we understand who our people is, sometimes we got to circle the wagon around Gregory, around Denisha, around Tamika, around Ron, whoever, right? And so this event, we're circling the wagon around men for a minute, just to give us a boost, so we can get back in the fight, because we understand what our purpose is in our community as well. So that right there. And one other point, I want us to stop apologizing for being who we are. Stop apologizing for being bold. Stop dumbing down our message because we're so afraid of hurting other people, right? And I think that does a disservice. I know a lot of times we feel the need to disclose or preface a discussion saying like, hey, we don't disclose violence. But we've been saying that forever. So nothing's changed about this, right? The Black National Anthem, when we talked about this, the Black National Anthem says, lift every voice. It don't say just lift ours. We're one of the most forgiving communities that I've ever witnessed, right? And when George Floyd got killed, I can't remember the young lady's name, but she said, America ought to be glad that we don't want revenge, but we want justice, or we want equality, is what she said. And I think we need to remember that and don't dumb down our message out of fear of upsetting other people. It's a foregone conclusion, in my opinion, that we don't want to see people die unnecessarily. But my point is that doesn't alleviate the responsibility of our free speech. Right. So let's be out there and make sure that we're pushing the truth, as Gregory said, pushing it in power. And what this show says, maintaining our integrity in indifference, right? It's easy to do it in the good and the bad. But even though it's indifference, those middle grounds, like it's easy to get comfortable right there. And my integrity is not being quiet. It's standing up for what I know to be right. You know, so I can't remember who said it. We was on the show a week or two ago. And they said somebody's dependent on us doing what we're supposed to do. And being silent ain't going to be it. That was you. Of course it was. Of course it was. Yeah. But yeah, man, want to go ahead and roll it and close it out again, man. But and that way I can get.
I love everything you said. Nelson Mandela also said, "You win nothing by playing small." So hey, go big or go home, right? We got to be bold. We got to, because we are fearfully and wonderfully made. We are brilliant. We are beautiful. We are Black. So just be brilliant, beautiful, and Black on purpose all day, every day. It's my word. And to everyone watching, thank you so much for tuning in. Stay tuned in, because we got more shows to bring to you. But until next time, peace, love, hair grease. We out.
Every man battles something, but not every man.
Oops, that was the wrong one. How about this one?
This one here really do it for you.